Well, joining us now is Hadiza Bala-Usman, who is the Special Advisor to the President on Policy and Coordination at the head of the Central Delivery Coordination Unit. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I mean, since August, when President Tinubu swore in the 45-member cabinet, this is coming at this time. It's interesting to note. What kind of feedback really are you expecting from Nigerians? And how quickly will the response time be?
We're expecting specific feedback on the key performance indicators. Within our delivery app, we have specified all the deliverables for each ministry, and linked to a deliverable is a key performance indicator. And the app provides an avenue where you would go and give your feedback on every particular indicator. So to the extent, for example, you're looking at areas around healthcare, you go to the healthcare deliverable and you find the indicator, and your comment would be specific to, the waiting time for doctors within federal medical hospitals is X hours, and you submit to us commenting that it is 20 hours, it is 5 hours, whatever your experience is. And we in the delivery unit will receive your email, we'll acknowledge it within 24 hours. We'll have the mandate ministry respond to your query to the extent it's a query. If it's an observation, we'll respond and note it. And the mandate ministry would give us the accurate information of what you want, and we'll send it back to you. So for us, it's 24 hours response to acknowledge, and then the feedback would come subsequently from the mandate ministry on the details of what it is that your query was attributable to.
Well, you know, I'm excited about this app because we're trying to have get a sense of how this is about. It's just been launched. First, quickly here, it's available where?
It's available on the website. Is app.cdcu.gov.ng. So once you write that link, it will automatically take you there. And we are going to aggregate people's assessment and scoring to total and provide what it is that citizens feel across every minister and every ministry's position. So, you know, our mandate beyond the citizen tracker is to provide Mr. President with assessment on the performance of the ministers and the ministries. So we're having like a three-pronged approach where citizens will have one-line assessment submission where they would grade and determine what we've seen, what we've felt across these deliverables, which have specificity to people's pain points. So we have broken down our deliverables to very granular details that affects everybody's daily life. So beyond, you know, nebulous statements that governments typically would give a very broad statement that doesn't really address your concern. So we've broken down our deliverables very, very specific. As I mentioned, the example of waiting time in hospitals. We spoke to waiting time in airports, cancellation of flights, sanctioning of airlines that keep delaying passengers. Very, very, very specific items. So citizens who assess ministries, the ministries will make their own submission. That is the second line. And the third line, we're going to have independent assessors, sectoral, independent subject matter expert that would assess their ministries. So the president is going to have 3 lines of assessment of his ministers to see how far they've gone. Citizens 1, the ministry giving submission 2, and our subject matter experts as 3.
All right, that's quite interesting. I mean, you made a statement in January that the president will sack non-performing ministers. Well, they've been there since August. Is the president, nay, government itself, especially your desk, are you making any assessments so far since the ministers came on board? What are you finding? Are you seeing that, look, these 45 ministers are doing excellently well? Or are there those that you're looking at again, you know, that this ones might have to go so that this government can look good in terms of performance?
So our submission is for first quarter. So the first quarter has just ended, and we have initiated the process of assessment. The ministers have all been asked to submit their performance based on the deliverables that you have seen. So every minister is going to be assessed based on what is out there in the public space. So he would write to say, every deliverable you have given me, this is what I've done within the first quarter of the year. And as I said, Nigerians will also say this is what they've seen the minister do, and would aggregate it. So the ministers have all been asked to make their submissions on what they've done in the first quarter. We'll receive submissions from about about 20 ministries. We're expecting the remaining, and then we're going to conclude the assessment and make a submission to the minister, to the president. What we seek to do is also ensure and facilitate attaining the deliverables. So my office doesn't just assess you, but it also provides you with coordination, meaning what challenges do you have in your ministry to enable you achieve your mandate? What interrelationships do you have with other ministries? Have funds been made available to you? Have you been able to have the necessary approvals and necessary, deployment to enable you achieve your targets? So we also facilitate, not just to assess, because by and large is our government, and we want our government in totality to succeed. So we need to hold our hands and do the necessary hand-holding to facilitate ease in terms of getting our work done, to ensure that all the bottlenecks have been achieved. So yes, an assessment for first quarter is being done. Yes, Mr. President will have a submission which speaks to where every sector has moved. Where has the needle moved in the first Q 2024?
Let me take you back to this app. It's quite an interesting app, and looking at the look and feel and how fantastic it is. But it reminds us of Servicom. Yeah. It's not the first time we're getting to see something like that, but this one is the electronic version. Yeah. It brings to the issue of trust. Nigerians are excited only when they know they can trust you. So if I'm, hard done by services I get from our airports, and I go here and I put the complaints, how reliable will I be getting some kind of feedback that will ultimately change and better things for us? That's what people want to know.
Yes. We're going to have, as I said, 24-hour response, and already government agencies have been doing that. For example, the Consumer Protection Agency has been getting feedbacks to people when you send an email to them regarding airline delays. I've seen instances where they respond, they facilitate a refund to you when travel times are cancelled. So already agencies of government they're themselves on their toes to respond to queries and comments. But as you said, it is trust for them to see that what we say we'll do, we're doing it, and we're able to generate the necessary impetus for ministries to respond. But I think in totality of it is the consequence management for all of us in government to realize that Mr. President has committed to Nigerians, he's made a promise to Nigerians, and he has entrusted that task to us. And if we're unable to deliver on what he's mandated us to do, then he is left with no choice but to ask us to step aside and to have other people that will perform and deliver on his promise to Nigerians. So we're all very conscious of that. He's made that very clear to all of us. So we're on our toes to make sure that Mr. President delivers on his contract with Nigerians, what he swore to deliver for Nigerians. He intends to deliver it. And all of us know that he's not going to spare anyone. If any one of us stand in the way of achieving what he promises Nigerians, he will have to ask all of us to step aside and allow for people that are able to deliver for him.
Let's take that even further. How will government, help the ministries in terms of efficiency within the MDAs? Because that seems to be a major challenge. Yeah. I mean, beyond providing them the funding, which you do through the budgets and what have you. Yeah.
So we have, we speak to operational efficiencies within the agencies, recognizing interrelationships, recognizing cross-cutting issues. So for example, for a Ministry of Agri to achieve in certain aspects, they need the relationship with Ministry of Trade. So our office seeks to have them sit around the table to say, for example, some of our deliverables speak to the need to ensure standardization of our agri-produce for exports are met. And in that circle, you'll see that there's an agri component and there's a trade component. So we're working with the two ministries where we can sit around the table to have a joint discussion where we facilitate and ensure that that synergy addresses the issue that is required. So efficiency, synergy, collaboration are the key areas that we seek to do as we facilitate and push and get all our MDAs to do the needful to ensure that the wheels of governance are actually moving at the pace that is needed.
And you're the go-between the government, the president, and the ministers, appointees, and the people. So the issue of monitoring is very key here. So how do you help in the case, because not everyone would want to run a complaint through the app.
Yes.
So how do you help gauge and monitor to ensure that all is well?
Yeah. So if we have assessment and responses through the application. My email address is there. We run an open door policy, and over the period that I've been occupying this office, people walk up to me to give complaints. People walk up to me to give suggestions, and this is one of the things that helps when you're available all the time. I fly Lagos, Abuja all the time, and I don't sit in the executive lounge. I sit at the general pool. I observe and I listen, and I have a feel of what everyday experience is like. So being like a part of what actually happens on a day-to-day is very important, and generally making yourself available, because at the end of the day, all of us have family members, friends, and everyone that is trying to get NAFDAC registration. It's taking me 1 year. Trying to facilitate export of agri-pro, it's taking me this. So we all have those experiences, and Mr. President has been very clear that his deliverables need to speak to the pain points of Nigerians. Right. We need to ensure those particular issues regarding our day-to-day activities, our day-to-day businesses for.
Very quickly, before we let you go, is there a whistleblower component to all of this?
Well, for us, we don't call whistleblower, we just call it like feedback. So you submit whatever comments you have.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, we'll have
trust me, something will come, and it will come in torrent, and it has to do with the band thing by the power sector. They'll come and they'll tell you.
We look forward to seeing that and engaging Ministry of Power
Absolutely.
on that.
On it. Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Great.